YouTube. Once again, it's Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. I'm your host, Kennard Vernon Stewart, and we're talking about Auburn sports like it's nobody's business. Down in the deep south where college football is king, and on the plains of Auburn, the battle cry is War Eagle. Fearless and true, gang. Let's go ahead and get this thing active in the comment section. Let us know what you feel about these videos that we post. We constantly talk about Auburn football. On this channel, it's always great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. Today we're going to be continuing to talk about what we think are going to be some impactful players for the Auburn Tigers coming into the 2019 season. Some of these guys have not even hit the campus yet. I think Charles Moore is enrolled currently at Auburn. There was some speculation that he would possibly be headed to junior college because of some academic issues, but sources say that appears to not be the case, that he will actually be an Auburn Tiger this fall, and for good reason. The Auburn Tigers definitely, although projected to be one of the better defensive lines in the country, you always need depth, guys. You know, you definitely always need depth, and I felt that's why I was kind of concerned about whether Charles Moore would actually be arriving at Auburn because of the situation depth-wise. I think your first 11 at Auburn is one of the best in the country, and definitely on the interior defensive line are some of the best in the country, including the buck linebacker / defensive end position. But then when you get to the second tier, or the depth chart, you start to go down the depth chart as far as second string, things start to get a little sketchy for the Auburn Tigers. So you definitely need some stability from a depth standpoint. And I think Charles Moore can more than provide this for the Auburn Tigers. Now, what do I'm not going to speak for the whole gang. You watch this highlight film that I got going on, and you let me know. But what do you all think? You know, I think that Charles Moore can be an immediate impact player. You're talking about a high-end 4-star recruit. Auburn goes over to Mississippi and recruits this guy away from LSU and Mississippi State. He had actually committed to Mississippi State at one time. Really looking at LSU, but say, hey, man, I get in too much trouble in Baton Rouge. I'm headed to Auburn. What a really good capitalization for the Auburn Tigers, especially when you look at this defensive line that's going to be projected to be one of the top in the country. And you can see Charles Moore playing various positions on the football field. I was actually excited about the fact that he's kind of comfortable at the linebacker position. He could actually challenge for some time at the Sam linebacker, honestly. But I think his strong point is the interior defensive line. I really saw a lot of great things from him in that part of the football field, that part where Marlon Davidson will probably play this year. That's kind of sort of where I expect Charles Moore to add a little depth for the Auburn Tigers coming into the 2019 season, which would be excellent for Auburn, because when you start getting into the physicality of the SEC around mid-October, you're going to need as many guys to rotate, because Kevin Steele likes to rotate too deep at the defensive line, and this definitely will be a great addition for the Auburn Tigers in that regard. Also, you have Kobe Wooten, who I feel will won't transfer, but will probably redshirt this year. I think he needs to get a little bit more weight. Kobe Wooten out of Archer High School here in Loganville, Georgia. A really tall guy. I actually had the privilege of meeting him in person. I thought he was a basketball player. However, once he puts on a little bit more weight and continues to combine that weight with his already great athleticism, he will be just fine. But I think Charles Moore has the ability to have an immediate impact. I think his skill set can immediately transfer into, the college football ranks. Now, I'm not sure if Charles Moore will even play against Oregon, for example, but I believe by about game 4 or 5, I think Charles Moore will be able to, kind of find his way onto this Auburn defense and provide some reserve help, kind of like how Carl Lawson did in 2013 War Eagle. Now, as we look at this, you know, Charles Moore coming on, a high-end 4-star recruit out of Louisville, Mississippi, is definitely a huge addition for the Auburn class. Actually helped to solidify a decent ranking class-wise after the loss of George Pickens to Georgia. So we expect him to have a more than immediate impact. This guy is absolutely athletic. He has an impeccable instinct. Just look at the highlights. He has an impeccable instinct of finding the football. And he's very physical at the point of attack. You can tell that he's a very good student of the game as well. He has a very, very good intuition as far as the defensive side of the football field goes. I really, really love his play, though, as a defensive end, or kind of sort of what Marlon Davidson is probably going to do, like I said, at the defensive end. Not quite sure if he would be a buck linebacker. I think his skill set doesn't quite reach that level. He doesn't have hybrid skill level. But as far as being very Marlon Davidson-ish or Nick Cole-ish, I really do see that out of Charles Moore. I think he's going to fit in real well with those guys on the defensive line. And then you add Derrick Brown to the mix, who we feel could possibly be an All-American football player for the Auburn. Probably one of the best defensive linemen in Auburn history if he lives up to what we feel is his optimal potential. All right, guys, just let me know about Charles Moore, man. I'm really big on him. I think he's a phenomenal football player. I think his skill set will immediately transfer over to Auburn and SEC play. Once again, it is Kennard Vernon Stewart for Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. Go ahead and leave your comment, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.